Hi everyone, and welcome to this webinar brought to you by the Information Lab. Here at the Information Lab, we dedicate ourselves to helping people make sense of data using Tableau and Alteryx. You're back here with Adi, bringing you the second episode of our mini-series showcasing the new Alteryx TravelTime macros from the company TravelTime, designed with the help of consultants right here at the Information Lab. If you're looking for episode 1, click the card on the screen now to head on over and watch it. We'll be here for you when you get back. If you are sticking around, you'll remember being absolutely bowled over by our office relocation example from last time. We used the new TravelTime matrix macro to figure out what impact an office relocation would have on the commute times and costs of our employees. Today, we're going to figure out how we can use these high-precision location intelligence tools from TravelTime to pick the best site for a new retail outlet. Now, retail is a fast-paced environment. We've got to make sure opportunities are seized before they're lost to the competition. These Alteryx macros from TravelTime put us at the front of the pack. Now, before we get going in earnest, remember that the macros themselves are now live on the Alteryx gallery, and the link to download them is in the description of this video. You'll also find a link to sign up for a free trial of the TravelTime API Key that you'll need to run each macro. As well as that, there's a link to a file share of all the workflows that I'll be using in this video. So let's go for it. Retail site selection for our high street business. As before, here's the context. We're a high street store looking to expand into new territory. We've got no existing footprint in this area that we're looking to expand into. But we do have a planning team, and they've identified 3 potential sites based on existing infrastructure needs, ground rents, and logistics considerations. Now, at the same time, the customer team that we have has established the core customer profile based on internally held data from store cards, mailing lists, online shopping habits, for example. Now, our analytics team therefore needs to establish which of the 3 stores gives the greatest access to households that fit the core customer profile. And that defines the new site selection. Now, access is going to be defined by TravelTime. And again, a reminder that TravelTime is a much more sophisticated and realistic approach than simply defining a radial distance or a buffer. Now, in this example, we're going to be using the Isochrones tool to help us define accessibility. No idea what an isochrone is? All right, here it comes. The iso part of the word means same. The chrone part of the word refers to time. So when we put these together, isochrones are lines drawn on a map that connect points that share the same value of time. In this case, it's the travel time from a starting location. The connected isochrone lines form a perimeter around that selected start location, and the area within the perimeter reflects what is reachable within a particular time. 30 minutes drive, for example. Now, in our retail store, we'll be using each prospective store as the start location, and we'll generate isochrones around those start locations set to different time intervals. And once we've done this work in Alteryx, we feed through to Tableau as our decision-making tool to complete the analytics pipeline. Now, let's get into Alteryx here and see how we set this up. All right, here we are in Alteryx, and straight off the bat in my canvas, you'll see that I only have 3 tools. Well, when we exclude the input and output, just 3 tools. And the difference these 3 tools can make to your business, massive. Now we'll just recap. For figuring out which store gives us greatest access to our core demographic, we need some key ingredients. Firstly, we need our potential store locations, which we have here in this input tool. Second, we need locations of the households in this new area. And we also have this being read in our input tool. The third thing we need is the characteristics of the households in this new area. And the characteristics are also coming in the household locations input tool on my canvas. And you can see one of my columns has this shorthand title dem type, and that's a code which we'll get to later that describes the characteristics of our households. But we'll reverse a little. We're going to begin with our store locations. Now here we're feeding in latitude and longitude of the proposed stores, and it is those latitudes and longitudes that feed the isochrone tool. Now, latitude and longitude could also be generated from proposed store addresses using the geocoder tool, as we did in last time's example. But today, we're just using straight latitude, longitude. Now, for the macro itself, we don't actually need the store centroids. But later in the workflow, you'll see that we have a spatial match tool where we'll need that spatial object. So we've generated the centroid of each of those stores using the longitude and latitude fields. And that then feeds through our data stream and will appear in the spatial match tool later. By putting the centroids in now, I'm also able to show you very quickly these three potential locations which are based in Nottingham. Now, if we move a little further, in the Isochrones tool, let's take a look at how that's set up. If you remember, you'll recognize this credentials tab. We need our API application ID, we need our application key. And you'll get that when you sign up for a free trial at the TravelTime website. The next tab, our configuration tab. Again, very straightforward. You're guided through exactly what you want. We're asked for a longitude field, which we have in the data as longitude, a latitude field, which we also have as latitude. The search method, you remember before that we get the choice of selecting either arriving by or departing at. And then here's the magic bit for Isochrones. We get to set a specific time. So how far do you want to be able to drive within 5 minutes, 10, 15? You can do this in singles. So I could just run this at 10 minutes. If in your business you want more isochrones at different intervals, you can just change those. Take it out, put something different in. In our case, we've done 10, 15, and 20. Then we move on to our basic tab, which gives us, in fact, quite a lot of advanced options. You remember from the TravelTime matrix that we get the option to select our mode of transport. I've gone for driving here, but in your business you could select any form that you think is reasonable. Combine driving and cycling, public transport, select them all. Select everything but one. All those options are available to you. Here we've just gone for driving. If we move down into this calendar field, we just ask for a specific day. Now you could switch this up. If you're looking particularly at retail, you might want to look at comparing weekdays and weekends. You might want to look at comparing weekdays in peak time, weekends at peak time. So you can perform a lot of analytical processes just based on the combinations of dates and times. But again, we've gone for arrive by 9 o'clock, British summertime, which is our current time location. And remember from last time, we've got a whole host of options that we can select from. Now you'll see when we run this isochrone tool using the browse tool, we're going to get a whole bunch of different shapes, that variation of drive time around each of those stores. Now you really get a sense here of that irregular shape. We're not drawing a radial buffer. It's not a regular ring shape. Now the variation in distance around that starting point with the same drive time, that's interesting. If you chose that regular buffer, that radial shape, you would miss that out. You want that precision, you've got to go for a drive time. Now, if we go back to our key ingredients, the next thing that we needed to have to meet the requirements of this challenge, it's information about the customer. We want their location and we want their profile. And what we've done here, feeding in our household's location, is actually to generate points for each household in Nottingham, and we've done that using OpenStreetMap building footprint data. I can show you how we do that on another occasion. But if you're following along at home, the file share already contains this input data anyway. We don't need you to generate that, we've done this for you. The key thing here is, though, we have all the household locations for the area around Nottingham. Now, to this, we've also assigned a simplified code, this DEM type number, to represent the customer profile code. And in our sample, we've gone from 1 to 10, this numeric code. Each number would be something like urban cool, young families, something that denotes the age, lifestyle, potential disposable income. In reality, you'd probably be getting these groups from Mosaic data, for example, or from your own internal classification. And using the browse tool there, you can see all these densely packed dots throughout the Nottingham area. If we take a look just at the metadata for this coming in, nearly 90,000 households. So the next portion is to combine these three ingredients, our store locations, our isochrones, our household locations, and our customer profiles. We simply want to find out where they overlap. And this is where the spatial match tool comes in. And it's coming in from the Alteryx spatial tool palette. Here's our spatial match tool. This spatial match allows us to siphon off only the households that fall within a particular travel time isochrone. And this is going to give us the total number of households within our travel time of interest. And from that, we can now establish the proportion of households that fit our required customer characteristics profile. Here's how our data set now looks. We've siphoned off a lot of the excess 90,000 records to just bring back the smaller number of records that overlap with those travel time isochrones. And I think Alteryx is having a bit of trouble just rendering that map. So we'll move on. But we have our key data set here. I guess that's useful in flagging up that, hey, I can, again, as I did before, I can take you through this line by line and show you or explain to you what it means, but without having a tool to show you, to allow you to explore the different options of times, of demographic groupings, it doesn't mean anything. Now, this workflow runs quickly, it's 15 seconds, but without some kind of visualization, we can't make any decisions. We're stuck with it at the minute. But that's where Tableau comes in. From this point, Tableau is going to offer us that interactive flexibility that we need. And so all we did, there we go finally. So there we go, you can see the overlap of each of our travel time isochrones, and we've got split down our households finally. But we're going to move on anyway. We output this data set as a hyper so we could read it, a hyper file, so that we could read it into Tableau. And that's what we use to create our dashboard. And I'm going to show you what that looks like by opening up the dashboard in Tableau Public. As before, to clarify, these are on Tableau Public. This is on Jack Parry's page. He's a data school consultant. Jack and Nathan Leather had a big hand in designing these dashboards. They look super cool, but we're all happy for you to download these dashboards, play around with them, work through all these examples yourself. What we've done here, we've plotted the isochrones. We have all the locations, each of the city centres, city centre 1 location and the city outskirts, the second. Here we're showing all of the isochrones, At the minute we have 10 minutes selected. If I choose 20, you'll see that these isochrones get larger because we're showing a greater area. There we go, that's better. Now, if we look to strip out a potential store, we can do that. If we look to strip out a particular drive time, we can do that with the filters. In our particular example, we've defined our target customers as something called mid-career climbers, which we've assigned to number 2 on the dashboard. I'm going to use this set control new feature to add that to the map. I'm also interested in the group that's number 7, which we've called this urban cool group. So again, I'm adding that into the map. Let's see how that looks. I'm also going, in this case, for number 8, which is highlighted there, Crash Pad Professional. So let's add that in as well. You can see what's happening as we begin to add that in. And in our case, we're looking for a 15-minute drive time. That's an arbitrary selection, but you could change this up as fits your business. And then we can simply go through our stores and figure out which gives us the greatest access to those. So our city centre location, got about 43% from each of those core customer groups. Seems like a decent share of the market. What about the second city centre location? Okay, 46%, looking good. City outskirts. Okay, nearly 63%. By placing our retail store in the outskirts of the city, we have greater access to our key demographic, our mid-career climbers, our urban cool, and our crash pad professionals. So with a few clicks in Tableau, we find that we've got this proposed location on the outskirts of town that gives us the greatest access. Just a few clicks, just a few seconds. Now, considering the implications of this choice or exploring the other options, other customer profiles, that helps you to future-proof your big business decisions. And that's a great thing. Once again, we're talking about solving the business problems. We're not thinking about the underlying tools. They just make it happen. Now, that is the beautiful thing. That is what these tools are for, to free up your time so you spend it most effectively making the decisions that matter. Now, speed to insight, it's not just crucial in retail or finance. It's also critical in healthcare. And next time, in our final episode for now, using these macros, we're bringing you a behind the headlines viz, digging into the analysis behind a recent story in the Telegraph on access to COVID-19 regional testing centres. If you want a little sneak peek of how that panned out, the link to the final dashboard is in the description of this video. And with that, we are out of here. Remember to head on over to TravelTime for information on how to get your free API key and also download the macros from the Alteryx gallery. Hey, try them out. As always, feel free to reach out to us here at the Information Lab for solutions to your data challenges. To stay up to date with all our YouTube content, hit the bell icon at the bottom of the screen to subscribe to our channel. Look, stay safe, and I will see you all next time.